It's Monday, February 23rd, 2026. The Olympics may be over, but that means it's time to start the Knee Jerks podcast of Eno, Nick, and Big Al. I'm the Big Al of the equation, Al Beaton, longtime Detroit-based podcaster. Joining me, as always, are my partners in crime. First off, our West Coast correspondent, who is probably still hung over from dealing with the Seattle celebration out there with the Super Bowl. We've gotten updates from him about that. There's been a lot going on out there, and that would be Nick Milanovich. Nick, how are things?
Hey, doing pretty well over here. I think you're giving us too much credit out here on the West Coast for.
Yeah, you're a little more laid back than that. Yeah.
It's way more mild out here west than it is in the east. So
yeah. There's no Bubba Helms out there, in other words. So. With that, let's bring on my longtime co-host, the man who has his own Substack. He wrote about Alan Trammell today, and of course, I highly suggest you subscribe. You can find the links to his newsletter in the show notes, and that would be Mr. Greg Eno. Greg, how are things?
Doing well, Al. Thanks for the intro. Thanks for the mention. You can subscribe to my Substack. It is gregeno.substack.com. I would appreciate that. I will be in your inbox every Monday, sometimes more, depending if there's some hot news, breaking news during the week, but generally every Monday. gregeno.substack.com. Follow me on X at Greg Eno. Follow the Knee Jerks on X at the Knee Jerks. And speaking of X, one of our little things we like to do, Nick and I like to do on X, is engage sports fans of Detroit sports in some talk. And sometimes Keith Cave pops in there every once in a while and chimes in. But today we're not going to talk about anything on X. We're going to talk about Red Wings and Sergei Fedorov, the Olympics, and all things hockey with our good friend Keith Cave, May of the Detroit Free Press. Keith, my friend, thanks for being here.
How you doing, gentlemen?
Doing
Good to
very
see you
well.
again.
Yeah, you too. It's been a while. It's been too long.
Been.
We thought this would be a good time to bring it back because the Red Wings season is about to resume. Now the Olympics are over with, and they're in a spot now that is not unfamiliar. We'll get into that in a second. It's not unfamiliar, i.e., being in a playoff position in February. They're pretty good at being in playoff positions in February. It's being in playoff positions in April that's been the trouble. We'll talk about that. But what we want to do is pick your brain, Keith. We didn't get a chance. Ironically, the last time we asked you to be here, you couldn't be here because you were downtown at the festivities to retire Sergei Fedorov's number 91, which we completely understand. But now that you're here, now that has happened, we're all eager beavers here. We want to hear all about it. Tell us what happened. Tell us about that night and what it meant to you personally. And as far as I was concerned, what I saw, Sergei looked like a kid in a candy shop. I mean, I know that everybody's going to look. That's a big night for anyone, of course. But he genuinely seemed giddy about this whole thing.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those guys, those jersey retirement ceremonies, and that was the most elaborate and maybe the most emotional one. There was one other banner raising ceremony involving Sid Abel's number 12 that there wasn't a dry eye in the house for that one, but it wasn't nearly as elaborate, as long, as involved as Sergei's retirement, jersey retirement, and again, highly emotional. Sergei, you're right. Like a kid in a candy store, but he was also very well prepared. The speech he gave was brilliant. I mean, really good. He didn't forget anybody, and he did a really nice job. And the other guy I thought who did a really, really good job, writes all his own material too, is Steve Yzerman. Talking about Sergei, I think I only wish that when Steve was done speaking, he spoke for about 15 minutes or so. I wish that rather than him ending his speech and really going back and sitting down, and then Mickey Redmond came up and brought Sergei up. I think Steve Yzerman should have introduced Sergei and I would have liked to see him bring Sergei up and have the embrace, the handshake, whatever it was, and let Sergei talk. This is a minor thing, but it was that's the only thing that I would have changed about the whole thing. But Steve Yzerman was really good. Sergei Fedorov was really good. Everybody else, Mickey and Ken Daniels as Masters of Ceremonies did a good job, and they brought Sergei out early before the ceremony itself. For those of us reporters who were there to cover it as a news event, and Sergei was again very open, honest, and he finally said during his speech. Remember, he said, "I made a mistake. I made a big mistake." He finally said that. And you know what? As much of a cynical prick as I am, I'm wondering if that wasn't part of the deal that Marian Ilitch had when it came to, putting her stamp of approval on raising that number.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go along with it if I have to. I don't want to, but I'll go along with it as long as he admits in front of 20,000 people and everybody watching on TV that he screwed up and he screwed this franchise, and he did that. And I think that was the biggest moment of the ceremony. I thought.
Well, that may indeed be a cynical take, and it is, but at the same time, it's not. It's crazy enough to be true. I mean, I wouldn't put that past anyone involved in that. One of the things that we on this program, though, Keith, mentioned about that, what you just said, was that we felt like that was kind of the closure that everyone needed. I mean, the fans, Sergei himself, maybe, you mentioned Marian, the family and so forth. I think that it was, and you were there, so I don't know exactly the tone in which he said it, but to me it was almost like a throwaway line. I don't think that was designed to be the main impetus of his speech, but I think it did provide some closure. Right.
No, I think so too. I think you're right, and it didn't have to be the line of the speech. Right. But just the fact that he said it out loud. He paused and he said, "I have to say, I made a big mistake," and everybody knew what he was talking about.
Right.
And you know what? That's all we wanted to hear.
Sure.
I thought that was great. Yeah. I thought it was great, and then nobody made another mention of it. Nobody talked about it anymore. He finally admitted it that he screwed up. He should have retired as a Detroit Red Wing. Yeah. This number would have been raised many years before. And frankly, that ceremony that we had that night might have been something even more special. Might have been the unveiling of a statue at LCA, Sergei Fedorov.
Right. Well, then, the cynical part of me, because I can be cynical as well, the cynical part of me about this whole thing was because it took so long. We can talk all night about why it took so long. But because it took so long, to me, and this is me being cynical and me being that prickly person that you were mentioning, I feel like it kind of it loses some of its luster because it took so long. I feel like this is like something that almost like the family was, I'm not sure, pressured to do. But there were so many other opportunities to do this. And I was talking about how this franchise, as you know, has been wandering around in the desert for so many years after their last playoff appearance. Yeah. There were so many opportunities to do something like this, to kind of bring the fans back. I know you can't replace, nothing is better than what's on the ice, the product on the ice. But there were so many opportunities when this franchise was at its nadir in terms of fan enthusiasm, that something like this, had it been done maybe back in the early 2020s, for example, or even earlier, might have been, to your point, better received. And I just feel like now yes, I'm glad it's happened. Don't get me wrong. I love that it's up there. It should be up there. You're right. But to me, I just look at it as like, gosh darn it, this just took too long.
Yeah, it did. And there's another element of my own cynicism is that we all know that this ownership family, is all about making a buck.
Right.
We're talking about a team that hasn't been in the playoffs in going on 10 years.
Right.
And people were getting before this little winning streak that got them like a 76% chance of making the playoffs now, which seems high to me. But there's no guarantee they're going to make the playoffs still.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And things have been so bad for so long. They needed something to get fans excited again. Yeah. Number one. Number two, it's a Monday night in January against Carolina.
Right.
They needed to sell tickets, and they did.
Which I think that was a purposely picked opponent too.
Absolutely.
I don't think that was a coincidence.
Yep.
That was Carolina. Now I'm curious. Now you were down there clearly, but did you get a chance any alone time or any one-on-one time with Sergei, or was there a pool of reporters? Did you get a chance to talk to him either before or afterward?
No, I did not.
Okay.
They kept him pretty isolated from those. There were no one-on-ones, and I frankly, listen, guys, I don't have a platform anymore. I'm not working at the Detroit Free Press or anywhere else.
Right.
And I didn't want to ask their PR person for a couple of minutes with them. It would have been kind of selfish, and I had no real reason to.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I hear you.
Although, other than the fact that I went to go get him in Helsinki one time, a long time ago, it would have been nice to see him.
Sure.
But I didn't feel I didn't feel like I had much authority to ask for a little bit of his time. There'll be times when he's around again, and I'll be able to spend some time with him. But I did not, to answer your question.
Okay. No, that's fine. I want to move on to we were talking just before we went on the air about the Olympics, and obviously the United States winning the gold medal first time since Lake Placid, so 46 years. I think it was to the day that they won.
It was, yeah.
Just kind of thing, of course. So just your thoughts on that. I know that Canada is, politically, unfortunately, Canada and the United States have, unfortunately, have been. It's a different kind of a thing now with when Americans play Canada because of the stupid political thing that's been foisted on us by the Orange one. But your thoughts about this whole thing and the Red Wings' role in this with Dylan Larkin and heavily involved in this.
Yeah,
or even the state of Michigan for that.
The state of Michigan, really.
Back there, guys. You're right about that.
The Hughes.
First of all, there were two tournaments, men and women.
Right. Sure.
And the women, I wrote a book about it called A Miracle of Their Own, about the women's rivalry between Team USA and Team Canada. The best rivalry in hockey and maybe in all of sports, as far as I'm concerned. And that ended thrillingly with the girl from Farmington Hills scoring the overtime goal, win 2-1, in a really, really good game. And then a couple of days later, the men play, and it was supposed to come down to Team Canada and Team USA, but there were no guarantees. I remember the very first time, guys, I was in Nagano, Japan, the first time the NHL players played in the Olympics. And that's all everybody could talk about. Who's going to win the gold medal, Team USA or Team Canada? Well, they were so good, so close, and so on. And if you remember way back then, neither one of those teams got a medal. Neither one got a medal. It was remarkable the way things unfolded there in Nagano. But the way I really thought this was an unbelievable coming out party between the Four Nations tournament with Dylan Larkin as well as he played, and then he followed it up with the performance in these Olympics. He was being touted by universally among all of his teammates as the heart and soul of that team. He would have been a great pick to put the C on the jersey the way he played. I'm not saying he should have been, but that's how he played. And I think moving forward, Dylan Larkin's going to be a major, major player for the rest of his career. Whenever Team USA, Hockey USA is putting together a team for World Championships and so on, Dylan's going to have a say. He'll be a captain of one of these teams moving forward, I think. But not just him, but you look at the whole tournament. Lucas Raymond was great for Sweden.
He was their best player.
Pardon?
He was their best player, I think.
No question about it. Wow. And Moritz Seider was great. He probably, you look at it, at his minutes played, probably played more than any defenseman in the tournament. And then all those other guys from Michigan, from the National Development Program. They kind of stole the show. Kid from Commerce Township, Connor Hellebuck, finally he gets the great big gorilla off his back. If anybody needed a performance like that and an outcome like that, it was Connor Hellebuck, and he got it. And what are we hearing from Canada today? What are we hearing from those guys? Nathan McKinnon, pretty good hockey player, kind of an asshole. He's out there telling everybody. Well, anybody who watched the game knows who the better team was. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, where's your sportsmanship and graciousness or whatever. I mean, this was a really great moment for hockey worldwide. This tournament, especially in the United States, obviously, but you don't. A lot of sour grapes afterwards. The way some of the Canadians and the coach John Cooper, who I really admire, talking about how they the 3-on-3 in overtime screwed Team Canada and all that. But I told my wife when it went into overtime, I said, this is going to end really fast. When you start out 3-on-3 and you got Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, and Cale Makar. There are no 3 players that can play with those guys. I thought it was going to end pretty quickly, and it did the wrong way. Nathan McKinnon makes the big mistake. I thought it was brilliant, and the stuff afterwards, guys. I was a puddle. When Dylan and Werenski went into the stands and brought Johnny Gaudreau's kids out. I just lost it. What a moment that was for.
It's like when Stevie gave the cup to Vladdy.
Yes. But I think that there's a lot to build on in this country moving forward on the men's and women's side. The women's side especially. The women have struggled to keep up with Canada sometimes, and they beat them 5-0 in the round robin tournament. And I told my wife, I said, the gold medal game is going to be way different. It's going to be a 1-goal game. It's probably going to go into overtime, and either team could win. And that's kind of how it ended.
I'm curious because clearly the Olympics are still the most renowned in terms of it gets the most publicity. It gets the most. It just resonates, I think, more with people. But people need to remember that there's not just the Olympics when it comes to international play. There's the World Championships. There's a lot of other international things that go on with hockey. Keith, where do you think this gold medal puts the United States now as a program or a country, if you will, on the stage internationally?
Well, they're one of the elite programs in the world, and it's the National Development Program in Plymouth. Is Plymouth? Yeah. That has helped develop all those players that have. Most of the players on the Olympic team went through the National Development Program. You hear, right? It's a state of the art, one of a kind program. I'm surprised that Canada and other countries haven't stolen the idea. The Russians have had it since the 1960s, called the Russian Red Army. They developed their players through that program, with the Red Army School, as Sergei calls it. But nobody else has anything quite like that. But I think it puts Canada, not going to like to hear this, but it puts the United States on equal footing with Canada, with Sweden, a very, very good hockey power. Finland, where they were there at the end, like they always are, right? Finland. The Czech team is pretty good. Slovakia is coming along. They played very, very well. Honest though, guys, I really wish. I understand the politics. I understand why, but I really would have loved to see the Russians in this tournament. The Russians and the Czechs. Yeah. Well, the Czechs were, but the Russians were not.
Right.
And you can't have a best on best on best on best without the Russians.
Right.
People don't like to hear that, but it's.
We're talking with Keith Cave here on the Knee Jerks. I'm Greg Eno from my gregeno.substack.com. Big Al Beaton is here, of course. Let's bring Nick Milanovich into the discussion. What you got for Keith Cave?
I was going to swing back to the whole, number retirement and Red Wings and all that. I remember seeing a comment like right after the Sergei's retirement about who is next on the Red Wings as far as retirements. And I think I remember you commenting that the Magic Man will be a little while before he gets his name up, or he gets up there. And I was wondering a little more on your thoughts about why, and is there some kind of tension there as well?
Yeah, there is. There is. This is based on, it's not just my opinion, it's based on conversations I've had, and people know I talk with Jim DeVolano all the time. A friend of mine, I'm having dinner with him in Florida in a couple of weeks. But he has told me repeatedly that he's going to have a long wait, much like Sergei, because they feel that he screwed them on his last contract.
We're talking about Pavel Datsyuk, by the way, for folks who may
Pavel Datsyuk.
Right.
Yep. Thank you. Pavel Datsyuk, he, when he was negotiated his contract, at first he wanted 5 years, and the Wings said, "No, we're not giving you 5 years. There's not a chance you're going to be here that long." He said, "Well, okay, what about 3?" And they reluctantly gave him a 3-year contract. Mm-hmm. After the first year of that contract, he wanted to go back to Russia and play.
That's right. Yeah.
That's correct.
Said,
I remember that.
They said, "You can't do that. You're screwing us. We need you. You're part of the team that we put together for the next couple of years, right?"
Right.
And so he reluctantly stayed one more season. He said, "Okay, I'll play one more season, and then I'm going." And he did. Mm-hmm. And it really hurt the Red Wings, and they were stuck with his contract against the salary cap. Remember?
Yeah.
And what happened was they needed to get rid of his contract, so they traded him to Arizona.
Right.
Traded him to Phoenix,
right.
And they were able to make the trade. But Phoenix says, "Okay, we'll take on the contract, but we want to swap draft picks with you, first round draft picks." And they did. Ken Holland said, "All right, if that's what it's going to take, that's what it'll take." And so the Wings at around 21 or 22, they drafted a defenseman named Dennis Cholowski.
Yep.
Played a little bit, right? Still playing in the league. It's 9 minutes a game or whatever somewhere.
Right.
But where the Wings were supposed to pick, Arizona drafted a guy named Jeff Chikrin. Look at Jeff Chikrin's numbers right now. He's got over 20 goals. Yeah. He's one of the premier defense, big, strong, tough, athletic. Offensively gifted, playing very, very, very well. He's in Washington right now. But I would have loved to have seen Jeff Chikrin on this team 5, 6, 7 years ago. When they had to trade, they had to make that trade to dump salary and have dollars to sign other players. So that's why the Wings have a very, very bad taste in their mouths about that, and they're going to make. I think we'll see 13 up there at some point, but he may wait as long as Sergei had to wait. I think the next number going up will be 40. Instead of a number.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was my next question. Who do you think would be next?
I think so. I don't know that for sure, but I know the Wings like him. I mean, he played very, very well. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He may have to wait a couple of years. But
I was just going to ask you about that because I don't know that there's not a number, Keith, I don't think, that's been hoisted to the rafters that is not a Hall of Famer. Is that
no. That's sort of the bar that the Ilitch family has set. If you're not in the Hall of Fame, we're not going to. We're not going to retire your number.
For a franchise as storied as the Red Wings, I understand that. I get it. These aren't the an expansion theme here.
I wish that was not the case because there are a lot of other players who really kind of deserve it, man. I mean, and I'm going to throw one guy out there that people kind of laugh a little bit, but then think about the numbers and think about his service to this franchise over the years. I would have no problem seeing number 33, Chris Draper's number up there.
Look at Vinny Johnson of the Red Wings.
Look at what he's done for this franchise. He was the guy who took the opening face-off against Eric Lindros in Philadelphia, leading the grind line, as Scotty said. Without those 4 guys, we don't win those Stanley Cups, period. Yeah. But the Larry Ory, number 6, is one of them. He was one of Bruce Norris's favorite players, and Bruce Norris took number 6 out of circulation with every intention of retiring it, but it never got retired. There are a lot of people out there, hardcore fans of another generation in Detroit, really would like to see Larry Ory's number 6 up there. That's
Well,
What about
they
Ricky- What about
Go
Rick? What's his name? Nicky Redmond.
wow.
I mean, he did. I mean, he didn't. He wasn't as much of a player for them.
I can see them like doing like you did with
Right,
Ernie Harwell, you know,
right,
that
exactly,
kind of thing.
or
Yeah.
Chuck Daly thing, where you're
Well,
not
right.
a player, but you get the.
I
Yeah.
proposed something in my last book, The Grind Line, about not so much retiring everybody's number and putting them up there, but like a Ring of Honor, a Ring of Honor.
Yes.
And this is a 100-year-old franchise. You got
Right.
8 or 9 or 10 numbers up there, maybe.
Yeah.
And you've had all these players who gave so much to this franchise.
Sure.
I think you could start with the 6 or 8 of the, and you could put Mickey in that group if you wanted. First,
Yeah.
I think it was the first 50 goal scorer. But and every year add 3 or 4 people into the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, there's
right?
a lot of. I'm glad you said that, because I was going to actually suggest that as well. There's to kind of be like almost like a happy median between the guys who maybe really do deserve the numbers and the very, very good players. You could start off with a whole bunch. Normie Ullman should be one of them.
Absolutely.
Ullman for sure.
Yes.
You could do some other ones for sure. They did Red Kelly just a few months before Red died. That was another one that took too long.
Yep.
That's it. I'm glad. Yeah, the Ring of Honor thing would be a nice thing. That'd be for your Drapers.
Guys, listen. They can have more big nights, right?
Yeah.
Sell tickets to big nights. Sell more merchandise. There's a lot of money to be made by doing something like this.
Yeah. But you're right though. 100-year. I didn't think about that. You're right. 100-year franchise. That you're going to have a lot of players that just don't quite. Johnny Wilson, quite frankly. Johnny Wilson, another one. I got a chance to meet Johnny. What a great guy. What a great guy. I wrote a piece about that, and then his daughter found it somehow on the internet and messaged me and said, "Oh my God, thank you so much." Yeah. My dad doesn't get nearly as much love as in thank you. I said, "Well, thank you." Because I thank Johnny, because he was what a great man. There was a lot of them that you could put in that Ring of Honor.
Can I share one story?
Yeah, of course.
You talked about when they retired Sid Abel's number, and that was before the internet.
Yep.
But there was, I was working at WDFN at the time, the radio station, Morning Drive, and we sort of got stuck on a conversation about why isn't Sid Abel's number up there? He's in the Hall of Fame. He's a center of the production line. He's been a coach, a general manager, a broadcaster. The service to this franchise by Sid Abel is unmatched in the team's history. And we got we started a grassroots campaign way before texting and email and so on. We deluged the Illich Olympia, whatever the Illich company is, deluged their fax machine. They had hundreds and thousands of faxes coming, and they finally got the message. And they decided on a Saturday afternoon, I don't remember who they're playing, but they decided to raise number 12 to the rafters. Did any of you see that? Do you know what I'm talking about? Were you there, Greg? Maybe.
No, I remember when it went up. I remember seeing it though.
Well, what they did. This is really cool. Highly emotional. Sid and his family are standing right below where the flag is starting to go up, and it's going up, and it's going up, and it's going up, and they're looking up toward the rafters up there, and it gets about halfway up, and number 12 is still moving very slowly, and all of a sudden number 7 moves a little bit to the left, and number 9 moved a little bit to the right, and number 12 went right up between them, and the production line was back together.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great moment.
I have an autographed photo of the production line that was gifted to me many years ago, which of course I treasure. I mean, they have all 3 of those guys sign that. But let's go down to Big Al. We're talking with Keith Gave here on the New Jerks. Let's go to Big Al. What you got?
You're on mute, Al.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted now.
Yep, I'm muted. There we go. Go back to Olympic hockey a little bit, and just to touch on the women, and it really starting to feel already like they're kind of being kind of shuffled off to the side after the men's win, especially now with we had Trump wanting the men to show up at the State of the Union tomorrow.
Right.
He made a joke. He called them in the locker room, made a joke about, well, I have to invite the women or I'll get impeached or something like that. Yeah. And it really, once again, feels like women are getting short shrift. And the U.S. team might be the most overall dominant team in hockey. It's really a shame.
There's no question about that. You're right. It's a crying shame.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into politics too much. I try and avoid it at every turn. I try and avoid it, and I have a hard time because I have a lot of strong feelings about what the hell's going on in this country.
Honestly, all of us do here, so we agree. Yeah.
It's just absolutely maddening. Just maddening. Yeah. And the women have given us something pretty special in this country. Yeah. They are the dominant team in the world right now.
Yeah.
The American women. Canada is very, very good. And there'll be those two teams will be they'll be fighting it out for gold medals for the next 2 or 3 Olympics before the other countries start to catch up. And they are slow but surely they're starting to catch up. But that rivalry that Canada and the U.S. have is something really, really special. Most of us covered the Detroit Red Wings Colorado Avalanche rivalry. I covered the entirety of that thing, and I know how vicious that was. And it wasn't one of those made up media rivalries. Yeah. It was real. It was real. Some of the things that the players have shared with me about what was said on the ice, by Colorado players to Detroit players and so on, it was really tough stuff. Yeah. And but the women, Canadian women, American women, it's every bit as intense and ugly, nasty, brutal, vicious. Maybe more so because women are involved.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's a hell of a rivalry. It's a great rivalry, and there's no sign of it letting up at all. And like I said, the Canadians lose 5-0, and they come back and they dominated that game for 58 minutes.
Yeah,
the gold medal game, and finally we're able to score and tie the game and win it in overtime on a great play by I'm having a blank on her name, Keller.
Yeah, Keller.
Yeah.
But the American women have something special going. That's for sure.
Yeah, and to follow up real quick on retired numbers and Hall of Fame and that sort of thing, Chris Osgood, is he a Hall of Famer?
I think so.
I think so too, but it's very divisive when it comes to the hockey fan people at large.
Yeah, and
it's divisive among Red Wings fans at large too, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Scotty Bowman's word carries a lot of weight, and he was on the selection committee for about 10 or 15 years. He's not anymore, but I remember Scotty saying something like, Chris, and he didn't say it just to me, he kind of said it everywhere. Chris Osgood was the beneficiary of a great team in front of him. Great teams, right?
Yeah.
Show me a Stanley Cup winning goaltender who's not been.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
Come on.
Right.
He's won 3 Stanley Cups. He's been to the finals 2 other times. He's got 400 wins. I mean, what else do you have to do? I think he's an absolute lock to be in the Hall of Fame. He's going to be there one day. I can't imagine him not ever being there.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see it happen sooner rather than later. Because there are all over Canada, they're pushing people like Curtis Joseph.
Yeah.
Being a goaltender, what did he win?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, Ozzy went 10 years between cups. Ozzy went 10 years between cups, which is a long time, number one. Number two, if you remember, he basically saved the Red Wings bacon in 08. The Babcock went into the playoffs starting Hasek, of course.
Yep.
Hasek was not very good in the two
That's
games
right.
in Nashville in that
That's
series.
right.
Went to Osgood, which it's unusual for a coach to switch goalies midstream in a series. And usually when you do that, you're losing, okay? But he did,
Yep.
and Osgood saved their bacon. I think it was game 5 in overtime.
Yep.
Made a great save in overtime. I mean, Red Wings won that game and then won the series. And he stayed with Osgood, of course.
Sure.
Stuck with Osgood. And Osgood, basically, I'm not going to say he won the Stanley Cup by himself, but he certainly got him out of that first round. He got him out of that first round.
Right.
And I remember Babcock said after game 4, he didn't call out Dom by name. He didn't have to. He said, the puck is going into the net too much. He said,
Yes.
the puck is
Yes.
going into the net too much.
Yep.
And everybody knew what he meant. Everybody knew what he
One
meant.
of his favorite sayings. Yeah.
Yeah.
The puck right in the net.
So-
Didn't
Go ahead.
Osgood also was like the main backstop in '98 too, right?
No, yeah, 10 years between cups. Yeah,
98
98.
years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yep. Yep.
Backed up Vernon in 97.
They
and was
win the
yeah.
Stanley Cup in '97. Mike Vernon wins the Conn Smythe Trophy as the MVP of the playoffs, and they trade him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
They traded
sure.
him, which and they gave the job to Chris Osgood.
Right.
You know that alone has some Hall of Fame cachet. As far as
Yeah,
I'm
well,
concerned.
and there's also the emotional thing. Keith, you were there in Game 7 against San Jose in '94 when Osgood misplayed the puck and it ended up in the net, and he was crying. He was 21 years old. He's crying. You were there, crying in the locker room after the game, after the series. Felt like the GOAT of the world. I mean, you were there, and that's another reason why I was so happy to see him lift the cup, because he was.
Yes.
Yeah, what a bad situation that he was put in.
It was. He was so young, and he was in. They threw him in the deep end, and he almost drowned.
Right.
It was tragic to watch.
They could have torpedoed a lot of careers. I could have really.
He's sitting there. He can't catch his breath because he's crying so hard, sitting in his locker, and of course the TV cameras go up there, and they got the cameras in his face and a microphone, and he's sniffling and saying, "I hope this doesn't ruin me."
Right.
And it was really hard to watch. And
Sure, I can imagine.
I waited until everybody moved away, and I didn't have a question for him,
Right.
but I wanted to hug the kid.
Right.
He needed a hug, and
Sure.
I wanted to say something to him, and then all of a sudden, one of the locker room guys, attendants, Dominic Marr. Remember Dominic?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dominic. He's getting on my ass, telling me to leave the kid alone. Leave the kid alone. I'm just trying to comfort him a little bit, I didn't hug him, obviously, but I wanted to do something, and I wound up not doing anything. And I
Well,
felt that.
he was put in a bad situation because Bob Essenza was dog shit. The Red Wings traded Chevy to get Essenza, which was, as you know, that in and of itself was controversial.
Yep.
And Essenza was absolute dog shit in that series, complete dog.
Couldn't stop a beach ball.
And Scotty really had no choice but to go with Osgood because Essenza was so bad.
That's right.
So that also then torpedoes the argument of Osgood only did well because he had a good team in front of him.
There you go. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Curtis Joseph in there too.
Right.
Yes.
Like we mentioned him. And I think we probably went through a couple other goaltenders too. I can't even remember. But
Yeah.
it's not a given that that just because your defenseman is the Norris Trophy winner,
Right.
that
Still got to make
your
a save.
goalie is going to stop the goal, stop a puck. So
You're sure right.
That's right.
Yep.
Let's pivot, Keith, real quick to today's Red Wings. We mentioned at the top that they are in fairly good position. You mentioned something about 76% chance to make the playoffs. I don't know how they come up with that, but whatever. Well, we've been here before. We've been down this path before, where the team has looked playoff worthy in February. They're a good 60-game team. It's game 61 to 82 where they have the problems. Do you foresee that happening again this year?
Ask me in 5 games.
Okay.
5 games. They're going to come back from this Olympic break, and they're going to continue a road trip. Their last two games before the break were at Colorado and at Utah. They won one and lost one.
Mm-hmm.
They got 5 games coming. They got 3 more games on the road as soon as they come back. They're not coming back to play at Julius Arena, Little Caesars Arena. They're going to play at Ottawa, which will be an emotional game because we got a pretty good rivalry budding with Ottawa right now. One of the teams you're fighting to make the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
They play Ottawa. They play at Carolina Hurricanes, maybe the best team in the East, and then at Nashville, game that they should win. Mm-hmm. They come home, and they play the Florida Panthers, or the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and the Florida Panthers. That's 5 games.
Yeah.
If they split those 5 games, go 2-2-1,
right.
whatever, get 5 points out of those games, I'll give them a pretty good chance to make the playoffs. But they could start tanking with these 5 games.
Yeah,
you gotta watch it. It's going to be really. They're not a lock to make the playoffs by a long shot.
No, it's really It's everybody's really packed real tight in the standings. That's true. You have a couple of off games, and don't forget going into the break, they were on a 1-3-1 thing before the break hit, which gave us made me a little queasy. And Nick and I are on the same page when it comes to Red Wings. Neither of us trust that team as far as we can throw them because of what's happened the last 3 or 4 years. And it seems to be after these breaks, whether it's whatever break it is, All-Star, 4 World, whatever you call them, 4 Nations, whatever. Now the Olympics, whenever they come back from these breaks, it just seems like something goes weird. Right. It happened with Lalone, and it happened with Todd last year. Now Todd, of course, has a full year to get his meat hooks into this team. But so that's fair. I mean, your answer is fair. I think that's a good one. What about? I'm just curious, real quick. This is a little bit off topic. You mentioned Jimmy D. I've been a big Jimmy D fan ever since he's been to Detroit. I just love the guy. I've met him on a few occasions. That's a funny guy. Just love him. Love the
Great guy.
How's he doing?
He's doing okay. Mm-hmm. The last time I saw him, and I'm looking forward to seeing him again. Last time I saw him a year ago, and we usually go down in March for a couple of weeks. He was getting around on a walker, having terrible back pain, and he was not a happy camper. And when I spoke with him a few minutes later, he said it was improving. He was doing better. So I'm looking forward to seeing him, hopefully without a walker, without a cane. But he's pushing his mid-80s now.
Yeah.
Still by far the longest serving employee in Detroit Red Wings history. Still on the payroll.
Yep.
And he talks to Steve Yzerman 2-3 times a week at least. Not that Steve Yzerman takes all of his advice, but they talk a lot. Yzerman bounces ideas off him and so on, and they have a real good working relationship. Jimmy D, we owe that guy a lot for everything he's done for this franchise. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely,
good man.
Let's go to Nick Milanovich. What you got for Keith Gave?
I was starting to think of. We brought his name up, Todd McClellan. Now that he's had is having his first full season with the team. Have you noticed any differences between whatever last year's team was and how his team plays? The team plays now overall.
Well, yeah, a little bit. One of the things I like is they don't have 2 stinkers in a row very often. Mm-hmm. If they have a bad game, you can almost take it to the bank that they're going to play a hell of a lot better the next night. They don't go in the tank for 2, 3, 4 games, and they've kept that up just about all season long. They really have to keep it going now, because if they start sliding, you got all those teams bunched up around them. They could still get squeezed out of the playoffs, and you know what? That would be devastating to this franchise if that happened. It would be devastating. Yeah, I mean, it would be terrible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't even want to think about that. That's how bad it's going to be.
No, it's about.
I was thinking about it's. When the Tigers were blowing the divisional lead last year, on this program I said, if they don't make forget the division. If they don't make the playoffs at all after this,
right,
it's going to use your word, devastating.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about the Red Wings not making the playoffs because of what's happened the last 3 or 4 years. If they do this to these fans again, I don't know what's gonna. I don't know. I don't want to think about that. I really don't.
Well, you're absolutely right, and that's why I mentioned the next 5 games coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that takes us to Friday, March 6th at 3:00 that day is the trade deadline.
Yeah,
the pressure on the general manager right now.
Sure,
if he stands pat, I think it will disappoint his team. Mm-hmm. It'll disappoint Dylan Larkin, and like last year. And I'll give Dylan all the credit in the world for speaking up, speaking out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're going to see Steve Yzerman make a deal or two to plug some holes, add some depth, and really help this franchise out. They really need a good, another solid, defensive, kind of physical defenseman who can play in the top 4. That would really help them.
Yeah.
And if they could get, I mean, the one guy who's out there, I think he's out there. His name is being bandied about a lot, and we saw him during the Olympics. His name is Vincent Trocheck.
Mm-hmm.
If they could get a guy like Vincent Trocheck, again, physical, 200-foot, he can contribute offensively, really good defensively. He was a premier penalty killer on a team that went 17 for 17 against the power play in the Olympics. Vincent Trocheck is a hell of a player. And the guy who told me about to watch out for this kid was Gerard Gallant when he was coaching Florida. Mm-hmm. And Vincent Trocheck was a young player in the NHL then. I had a chance to talk with Gerard when we were making the documentary film about the Russian Five, and ask him about his team. He said, hey, watch this kid Trocheck. Just watch him. He's a real player. He's 32 years old, but if Yzerman could find a way to get him to Detroit, this team's making the playoffs. Yeah. No question in my mind.
What do you think he could be had for just a draft pick, or are we looking at?
They're going to want a lot for him because everybody else is going to be bidding for him too. It's going to take a lot. Yeah. No real NHL players are going to come cheap. With all these teams so close,
right.
There'll be way more buyers than sellers.
That's true. Yeah.
And the prices are going to be really high.
Yeah, that's a seller's market for sure.
Yzerman's going to pull a rabbit out of his hat.
Yeah. Before we let Keith go, let's go to Big Al next for another one. What you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go slightly off the reservation. Not so much about hockey, but I know you were an old school newspaper man. You were around even, or before the JOA and all that. And I wondered if you had any thoughts about the Detroit News and Detroit Free Press having joint ownership with the USA company, whatever it's called now, Gannett, essentially. And it just seems like a shame that there used to be such a rivalry between newspapers in all the big cities, and the consolidation is just nonstop, and it's ruining journalism.
Yeah, I sure agree. I'll tell you what, the JOA was one of the darkest days in my career when they announced the joint operating agreement, and we lost our Sunday edition. We produced a Saturday sports section, and the News produced the Sunday sports section. I got to tell you, it's one of the reasons I left Detroit to go to the Dallas Morning News, which had the best sports section in the country at the time. Mm-hmm. That's why I went down there. We didn't have a Sunday paper to write for Christ's sakes. So, I love the fact, guys, that we still have 2 newspapers in Detroit. But, people don't know how lucky they are. And I know that you're talking about consolidation. They've consolidated their business sides in the JOA in the late 80s. Yeah. But on the news side, the editorial side, we still continue to try and beat the hell out of one another every day. And it's still that way. They're not working together. Ted Kaufman's not working with Elaine Elliott on stories. They're not working together. They're still working against one another, and that's good for readers.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Of course.
But I can only imagine when at the Fedorov banner raising, number raising, I talked to a lot of guys in the press box, because the rumors were starting to fly. Morale is is really, really down, really low among all the reporters on all the print people. Talked to John Nio, and he just shake his head and hopes that we can keep two newspapers somehow, some way. I mean, they keep taking pay cuts and staff cuts, and the newspapers are a shadow of their former selves. How much is a newspaper these days? $4?
I don't even know. I haven't
bought one in years, unfortunately. That's the thing.
Nor have I, and I'm ashamed to say that. But the $4 for nothing in it.
Yeah.
When I was at the Free Press, when I started, the Detroit Free Press was 15 cents.
Yeah.
The Detroit News was a dime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you had two of the top 10 newspapers in the country right here in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We used to just kick the crap out of one another on a daily basis, and it was fun. And the readers got the benefit of that.
Sure, of course.
The days are over.
Yeah. My parents were a two newspaper family. We got the Free Press in the morning, got the news in the evening, in the afternoon.
Yep.
And I was a Free Press delivery boy for about a year and a half, way back in the day. Got up at 4 a.m, and I wouldn't go out. The papers would arrive at 4 a.m. They drop the papers off at your house. I do my route, then go to school. That was in the wintertime, in the Sunday editions, I had to make 2 trips because the papers were so thick. You couldn't put all the papers in your canvas basket or canvas bag because they were too thick. So you have to come home and reload and go back out again. And it was, and then collecting, I'd have to go around to every house on my route. There was no internet back then. You went door to door with your little change thing on your waistband, and you get the people that would tell you, "Oh, I paid you already." They try to a 14-year-old kid,
Right.
But it's definitely a different time for sure. Keith, thanks so much again. It always goes by so fast these days. What's that?
Can I add one thing to that?
Of course, please.
I started reading newspapers in the mid 1950s. I started learning to read the Detroit Times, the afternoon. The Hearst newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
That was delivered to my family's home.
Yeah,
in the evening. We get it in the evenings. After dinner, I grabbed the newspaper and I spread it out. And there was a guy, the baseball columnist at the time at the Detroit Times was a guy named Joe Falls.
Mm-hmm.
And many years later, when I started working in the Free Press, and I'm working kind of against Joe Falls when he was at the News, and Joe was really, really good to me. He always took me aside and told me what a good job I was doing and how we were kicking the heck out of his newspaper and so on. And but I said, Joe, I got to tell you, you helped teach me how to read. Because when the newspaper came, I'd spread it out and I'd read. His column was the first thing I read. Reading about the Tigers. Al Kaline was a young batting champion and so on, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm asking my dad, what does ERA mean? And just all. And Joe didn't like me to tell him how he helped me learn how to read way back when. Because in a way, I guess I was telling him he was pretty old, but those were the days. We had 3 papers in Detroit.
Yeah, we did. Absolutely
3
did.
good papers.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Keith, thanks for being here. It's always so fun. It always goes by so fast. And we'll bring it back as we get closer to playoff time. And God willing, they'll be in the playoffs. We could talk about a little playoff preview. Would you like to do that?
I look forward to that. I really, really want to see some Stanley Cup playoff hockey at LCA.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we all do, desperately.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, my friend.
Take care, guys.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Keith.
All right. Keith gave good stuff, as usual.
Yes, it was always enjoying talking to him, and it's nice to kind of talk about stuff that, we're not angry about sometimes, if you know what I mean. Even though I think when I brought up what happens to the newspapers in town, that did get Keith kind of a little riled up, understandably.
Yeah.
So like I said, he was around before the JOA when it was truly. No, even though he did say the editorial wise, they did stay separate. I just don't think it was quite the same when they had the JOA, and it's never been the same ever since.
Right.
So they can say they were competitive, and I'm sure they tried. But when when you're essentially run by the same business operation. It's just not quite the same. And now Gannett having bought up everything, if anything, if there's a newspaper that goes away, it will be the Detroit News, if you ask me. That's always been I think that's always been kind of little brother to the Free Press. The morning papers always seem to be the more popular papers.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, we were a Free Press family. It probably helped that my parents are Democrats, and that was always the left-leaning paper anyway.
Right.
But but yeah, it's a shame, and don't even get me going on the local regional papers. Like I grew up reading the Monroe Evening News, which is an absolute shell of itself. Again, owned by Gannett or the USA Today company now. And we used to have a whole bunch of those kind of papers. The Oakland Press and papers like that all around Southeast Michigan. And and they see we just sound like a bunch of old men yelling at clouds because none of that stuff's ever coming back.
Now we have Twitter, and so you get it all in 180 characters.
Yeah,
so
exactly. In a clickbaity headline at that. All right, Greg, I guess it's time to play the birthday game before we ramble on about some Detroit sports.
Absolutely. We're going to play a game we like to call Whose Birthday Is It, Maestro? Everybody knows how we play this game by now. I give Al and Nick a clue or two or three of an individual whose birthday it is today in the world of sports. And if one of those gentlemen can correctly guess this person within the first two clues, in honor of the fact we just had a hockey segment, we'll be giving you, the winner, a box set of all the Peter Puck episodes. All the Peter Puck
Peter Puck. Oh, my God. Nick's probably too young to remember Peter Puck. He was, when NBC hosted, actually had the NHL rights, I think, wasn't like the mid-'70s, Greg? Something like that, mid-late 70s? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Peter Puck was their mascot they used to explain the game to the know-nothing Americans about hockey.
Yeah.
An animated thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love Peter Puck. I thought he was great.
Yeah.
Got it.
The look on Nick's face, like, what the fuck?
Anything like hot. Honestly, anything related to hockey in the 70s just does not sound appealing whatsoever.
Yeah. This person made his name, though, in the world of baseball, not hockey, baseball. He was born in this state in 1963. Kind of a controversial guy. He's played a lot of years in the National League East with two teams in the National League East is where he made most of his hay. But he's kind of dogged right now for the fact he's got a very long-term contract that he gets paid every year.
Oh, it's got to be Bobby Bonilla. Bobby Bonilla Day?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a giveaway. I understand it, but we got to get.
Yeah, that gave it away when you said the yearly contract.
I wanted to get through this, but yeah, Bobby Bonilla, 63 years old today, and he still gets. I think he gets these contracts July 1st.
I think it's
20.
Yeah, I believe so. That's Bobby Bonilla Day, where he gets $1 million. He signed a 25-year deferred deal, which is one of the smartest deals ever made back in the day. Yeah.
You're right. Every July 1st, he gets $1.19 million. It will go through 2035.
Yeah.
Genius.
God. Unbelievable.
Yep, exactly. All right, guys, we have lots to talk about and not a lot of time to do it. So since we've covered the Wings, we'll touch on there's some stuff to talk to the Pistons. I think we'll get that. Let's go with the Tigers because they made the most mind-blowing news of the past couple of weeks since we last talked. And just going by our little text discussion that we had when it went down, and I believe I sent out a screenshot saying Justin Verlander is a Tiger, and it's like mind blown. We're getting emojis and things like that, and I didn't believe it at first. I had to make sure it wasn't a parody account that had put this out there, but it's true. It's actually a bigger surprise than when they signed Framber. The Tigers inked a legit franchise legend, a legit first ballot Hall of Famer, a guy who was still relatively effective. He was in the second half of last year with San Francisco. Justin Verlander. He signed a 1-year, $13 million deal, and he should slot in as like a number 4, number 5 starter in the bottom of the rotation. And they're not asking him to be the guy we remember, obviously. And I think that's going to be the hardest part for most of us guys, is that we remember, must see JV, every fifth day he would come out there and he's throwing 100 miles an hour in the ninth inning. That guy is gone for that matter, but he's still a pretty darn effective pitcher if he can stay healthy, and he is, I believe, 43 now? But I don't know about you guys. I was absolutely shocked when this news broke, and it was, and apparently from what I read, Verlander is the one who initiated the conversation. He wanted to come back.
Yeah, I guess he's been talking about this since November of last year. He reached out. He reached out to the Tigers, to Scott Harris and H.A. Hinch, and talked about it. It's funny because I remember writing a piece on him. I think it was in May or June of last year, because he had gotten off to a really bad start.
Yeah,
and with the Giants, and looked like it was over with. I mean, it really did. And I kind of wrote not really an obituary of his career, but it was pretty dire at that point. But you're right. The second half of the season, he really put up much better numbers, so which was enough, I think, to convince the Tigers that he had something left in the tank. But it's very surreal because the Tigers fans have always, or Detroit fans in general, always wanted. They fall in love with bringing people back all the time. Yep. They always bring JD Martinez back, bring this guy back, they just want to bring people back all the time. I don't know why. And I was with JD Martinez. I wish that guy. I think he finally retired. I think JD finally quit, because I was getting sick and tired of hearing bring back JD Martinez every time the Tigers, were in search of a bat. And Verlander, quite frankly, was in that same category. I was dogging people. Why? Shut up! Don't. No. But the reason I'm not as against it now is because he did put up some decent numbers, and now that I find out that he reached out to the Tigers, to want to come back, could he be a serviceable fifth starter? Sure, why not? I mean, I get he's 43, I understand that, but he did seem to have something left last year. They're not paying a whole lot of money. I mean, not really a lot of money.
Less than Alex Cobb.
Yeah, I mean, so it's I'm okay with it. It's fine. I mean, if you can bring something every fifth day, that gives them a chance to win. And then, of course, that was made possible by the Reese Olson injury. I don't know if he comes back.
I think that was the tipping point. You're right
Reese
there.
Wasn't in his situation. Maybe this hasn't even happened, despite JD, reaching out to the Tigers. But I'm okay with it. I'm normally not one of these bring people back kind of guys, but I'm looking at it from a baseball perspective, not from he's an ex-Tiger perspective. I'm looking at it from the perspective of what he can bring to the team. I don't even care if he ever played for the Tigers. I'm just looking at him as, can he bring something to the team? The fact that he does have a history here, of course, is a nice benefit, but it's more about can he help the team? And I think he can. We just don't know. He thinks he says he wants to pitch till he's 45, so we'll see.
He smells 300 wins, and he needs like 34 or something like that to get there.
I just looked it up. 34.
Yeah, and he needs he probably needs 3 seasons to do it. I mean, I don't see him being a 17-game winner in the next 2 years.
No.
But if he hangs around on a good team, and the Tigers should be a playoff contender, he might be able to sneak in there late in his career, but we'll see. What are your thoughts on all this, Nick?
I've got mixed feelings about it. I mean, he's coming back, and it's a little bit nostalgic more than anything. I look at it now. We got a 43-year-old pitcher, came off of a poor season last year. If he stays healthy, he could be a decent, like, say, 5th starter, for instance. But I'm not expecting the old Justin Verlander whatsoever. And I don't know if anybody else is really either.
Some fans are going to get caught up in it, though. You know that.
They do. And I've seen people post how they get all excited about him. It's like, okay, he's 43 years old, and he's been injured before. And, his injuries. Last year, I think he was also injured. That's part of the reason he had a really crappy start to the year. So, he's on the team. I hope he does well. I hope he contributes. I hope he has a good season. But for me, like anything in the off season and spring training and all that, I'm just going to wait and see. I'm not going to project or romanticize about how good it's going to be, just because he's on the rotation on paper. So
it's one of those things. If you get 150 innings and a 4 ERA out of him, I'd call it a very successful signing. But there's no given that he's capable of doing either at his age. I mean, he showed like half a year of it last year, and honestly, he was still a dynamite pitcher till he's like 40, and then the injuries and age started catching up a little bit with him. But I can see taking a swing on Justin Verlander far more than some of the guys we've seen the Tigers take swings on in the last couple years, like Maeda, Charlie Morton, the dude from Minnesota last year that they picked up in the trade. I mean, there's more of a track record here, and there's the history. When you factor everything in, I think it makes more sense to pay Verlander than a lot of these other guys that they've brought in the past.
That's actually a very good point because, I mean, Scott Harris had some very retarded signings. We bring up Alex Cobb, but he gave the guy $15 million. The guy never stepped foot on the mound.
Exactly.
And he was injured before he even signed. Mm-hmm. Which make that make sense to begin with. So, if Verlander is healthy, why not?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's and I have to admit it does hit the heartstrings just a little bit. I mean, as cynical as I can be when it comes to sports, stuff like this brings back the little bit of romanticism I still have about the game, usually which is tucked way deep down. And sometimes it comes back because his first start at Comerica, and I've read that it's quite possible it could actually be the home opener. Mm-hmm. That will actually be bananas. It really will.
If they were smart, they probably would put him in for game one. So,
because they open in San Diego, right? They're on the road in San Diego.
I'm not sure. I know they open on the road. I'm not sure who they open up against.
Okay.
Yeah, but because it's already been announced that Tarek Skubal is going to be the opening day starter.
Yeah.
But I could see them maybe trying to juggle the rotation a little bit to have Verlander get the home opener. It would be really cool. Who knows if it's smart baseball wise, but as a fan who just he was the most dominant pitcher of our lifetime. Really, as good as he was for as long as he was. And it would I think it would be absolutely bonkers at Comerica. The fan base would just go nuts. Who knows if it'll work out? But if you're going to take a flyer on a pitcher, Justin Verlander makes the most sense of all.
Yeah, I mean, again, taking all that emotion and all that other
and which is hard to do. It's hard to do.
No, it is. Yeah. But I mean, as far as like what he can bring to the table. I like to think they'll be getting more of the second half of Verlander than they did the first half of Verlander. If the situation was flipped, if he had gotten off to a really good start and then faltered in the second half, I'd be a lot more dicey about it. But the fact that he got better as the season went on gives me some hope. But it's a pretty good rotation now. You got if you look at the 5 people, if Flaherty bounces back, which we don't know, of course, but you got Flaherty, Skubal, Mize, Verlander, and Framber. That's not bad.
Yeah,
that's not bad. But you still got to hit.
Yeah. Yep. Like I said, it's early, and I think the Tigers are 0-3 in spring training so far, but it doesn't make a difference at this point. So, but hey, apparently Skubal was absolutely dominant in his 2 innings with 6 outs, 4 strikeouts. So he's already in prime form. And I guess he already did say, no, he's on the roster for the World Baseball Classic, but he's only making 1 start. Mm-hmm. He's gonna appear in the pool play, but that's all he's gonna do, which I found kind of surprising. But hey, I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. So seeing the let me ask you guys about this. Does it make you nervous? Much like watching the NHL guys playing the Olympics, to have these highly played stars playing in essentially a tournament like the World Baseball Classic. Like, for at least with the Tigers, there's only I think Jomani Jones, I believe, was playing for Puerto Rico. But other than that, there's him and Skubal. I think that's it. And I'm actually kind of relieved that the vast majority of the Tigers roster is not involved.
Well, Javi,
go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, Javi wanted to
Javi
play,
was gonna
but
be part of.
yes.
Is a little bit too stoned during the drug testing, I guess.
Yeah, I did not realize that international baseball is still finds the devil's weed to be is banned, even though it's illegal by the MLBPA.
Yeah, that was kind of funny when I saw that, but
Yeah, and even Javi was like, I didn't know.
Which I believe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on these best on best tournaments?
I don't care. I have like no interest in the WBC, and I don't know why they call it a classic when it's only been up for a few years, but it doesn't surprise me at all. You see this in like, it doesn't have to even be baseball. The All-Star game, nobody's killing themselves to play in that game either.
Yeah.
There, you see this in the NBA with this NBA Cup. You see them with any of these All-Star games. There's too much at stake. This guy blows out a knee before his career is, before his career contract or whatever it is, or, and the teams also put in a big investment into those contracts.
Yeah.
They want them playing in games that count.
Yeah, because there are some players that wanted to, but were not allowed because insurance wouldn't cover it.
Right, and look at Skubal's situation. He's got a one-year deal right now. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
And chances are, come at the end of the season, he's going to have one big freaking payday. Assuming he does well again this year. Would you jeopardize that? Would you come back from multiple injuries like he has? I mean, those could be career-ending injuries for most guys.
Yeah.
And starts winning Cy Youngs, and then he's going head-to-head with his own organization over his salary. And then now he's ready to hit the open market and have a major payday. And he gets arm trouble in the World Baseball Classic, of all things, which doesn't mean anything, versus having arm trouble, like going balls to the wall during the World Series.
Yeah.
So, this doesn't surprise me that he's not going to bother playing much there. And it's just like, it sounds like a spring training outing, basically.
Yeah, it really does for him. But like I said, I don't know if you watched the gold medal game, Greg, but when Dylan Larkin got absolutely blown up by a I think it was Tom Wilson check, and my first thought was, oh shit, Red Wings. Luckily, apparently he wasn't hurt, but that's the kind of play, especially when you're not playing East West or ALNL, you're playing with your nation's name on your chest.
Yeah,
that seems to up the stakes of these players sometimes, and that's when guys might get hurt.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you're right. It's not your basic run-of-the-mill all-star game where it's literally an exhibition. It literally doesn't matter who wins. The funny thing about this is that, I mean, you always are going to be wary of something weird happening. A guy gets hurt in one of these things. Even in the Olympics, as high stakes as that is, it's still not the NHL. It's still a non-NHL thing, and that's happening in the middle of the season, as big as the Olympics are. So, but on the other hand, these guys, you can't wrap them in bubble wrap either. I mean, they're going to play for these kind of high stakes. They're going to play, to your point, the Tom Wilsons of the world and so forth are going to play, all out, as they should. I mean, as they should. These injuries, these potential injuries or these getting blown up could happen in an NHL game too, of course. I think it's. I don't. I think the fans. I get the feeling though, guys. That the fans worry about that more than the players do. I don't think players go into a game in a situation like whether it's the World Baseball Classic or the Olympics or anything else that's non-regular season stuff. I don't think they go into that thinking that way. Oh my God, what if I get hurt?
I don't think they could. They couldn't play if they had that kind of.
I think the fans do.
Yeah, you're right about that.
But I don't know that the players themselves. And now, to Nick's point, though, with Skubal's situation being what it is, and Nick's right. I mean, he's on the precipice of earning maybe the fattest contract we've ever seen. Yeah, that does change things. That's definitely a consideration. You definitely have to. Now you're talking a different level of worry, because this is now that's why I kind of give a pass to these college kids who don't want to play in bowl games. I know it's unseemly. You don't like it, but for the ones who are going to expect to go high in the draft, football is such a physical sport. I know that the bowl games are supposed to mean something, but if it's a choice between getting blown up in a bowl game that could F me up for a long time, or sitting it out and making sure I'm healthy for the draft, guess which one I'm going to pick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, football is pretty extreme. I mean, he's the most extreme of them all. Like, imagine getting hurt in all whatever when they used to actually have a Pro Bowl.
Remember, what was that? The Patriots running back who essentially ended his career because he was playing in a NFL-sanctioned flag football game, a beach football game, and he just blew up his knee during playing beach football, which was sanctioned by the NFL. I forgot the guy's name. I'd have to look it up, but
is this a long?
You remember
ago?
that?
I kind of remember what you're talking. It sounds a little familiar what you're talking about.
Yeah, I have to look it up, I think, but yeah, some shit happens. But yeah, you're right about Greg, that players can't go into it thinking they're going to, or worried about getting hurt,
right.
Because they would never be able to play, or they wouldn't be able to practice.
Yeah.
For that,
and that's
matter,
quite frankly, that's when you're more likely to get hurt. I think is when they say. I mean, I've my athletic days are long gone, but they say that when you, as a professional or as any competitive athlete, if you take your foot off the pedal a little bit, gas pedal, that's when you're more likely to get hurt. Not when you're playing full force. That's what they say. I don't know how true that is, but if there's any data to support that. But they say that if you take your foot off the pedal, that's when you can potentially open yourself up to injury. So I don't know.
There's also, like, I know, like in players' contracts, oftentimes they're not allowed to play other shit
right
outside of the game. Like, okay, you're a football player. No, you're not playing a pickup game of basketball.
Right. Sure. Well, remember the Uwe Krupp thing, Al, when he was caught, he was dog sledding.
Dog sledding, yes. When he was supposed to be, he was supposed to have a debilitating back injury, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And I looked it up. It was Robert Edwards, 14 years ago.
Okay.
And let's see if I can bring it up here. He was 18th pick of the first round in the 1998 draft, ran for 1,100 yards his rookie season, and then blew out his knee during a flag football game while attending the Pro Bowl. The injury was so severe, they thought they may have to amputate. He ended up missing like 2 years of football and was never really the same player after that. Wow. So, and it was an NFL-sanctioned thing. So, But again, like I said, it's fairly rare, but it does happen. So, so it is what it is at this point, and we'll just see where it goes from here. All right, I want to ask you guys, robot umpires, yay or nay, because it has gone live. Robot umps have arrived in Major League Baseball. The Automated Ball Strike Challenge System, also known as ABS, is live for 2026. I guess they're treating it like NFL treats penalty challenges. Each team will start the game with 2 challenges. Managers cannot challenge a ball strike call. Only the batter, pitcher, or catcher can challenge an umpire's call, and it must be appealed immediately. I believe he has to tap the top of his cap when he does it. If the challenge is upheld and you win, you keep that challenge. If you're denied, you lose a challenge and you only have one left, and I believe you get another one in extra innings and things like that. So people have been crying for years, guys, about, why don't we have robot umpires? Why don't we have an automated strike zone? And here it is. And it's going to be interesting to see the fallout, because there's going to be some hiccups along the way. There's going to be some players that screw it up badly, because I know there's already rumors going around that some teams are going to tell some certain players, you are not allowed to do this, because they don't trust their judgment. But could you see Miguel Cabrera? Though he would call for an appeal on in his own check swing, he would do it for like the first 2 pitches of the game or something like that. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this falls out. I guess it's time. We'll just see if I don't know where you guys fall on this. I need to be convinced somewhat. 'Cause as bad as umpires can be, I think still need to do a pretty darn good job. So I don't know if this is going to be a clusterfuck or not, but it very easily could turn into one.
I'm kind of surprised they're letting the players only do the challenge. If you only get 2 per game, then there's got to be the assumption is they've got to be used somewhat strategically. But if you get some loose cannon at the plate who just decides he wants to challenge a pitch without consultation of from his manager, but at the same time, managers from their vantage point don't exactly have the greatest view either of whether a pitch is ball or strike. But I think umpires do a pretty good job on the base paths. I think the balls and strikes though has been bad. I really do. I think the balls and strikes umpires have been wildly inconsistent. I saw it a lot in the playoffs, not just in the Tigers game, but all throughout the playoffs. I feel like they do okay on the base paths with the bang calls at first base and on all the bases, quite frankly. But that ball strike thing I think is a weakness. It really, and I'm willing to try this because, and a lot of fans that this is going to be a case of be careful what you ask for because this is what they wanted. So we'll see.
I don't know. Like I sometimes like the imperfections in the game. Try to go too far in being like super precise. Especially on something like every damn ball and strike. Is I don't know. Overall, is it that bad in the grand scheme of things? And but I'm not like pining away from the old days necessarily versus now. Like, if it helps, just be more consistent. That's fine. That's fine. Let's see what it looks like. I'm sure it'll be clumsy as hell in the beginning when people trying to figure it out. It's funny that you're saying like telling certain players to shut up and you're not allowed to challenge. So, can you imagine Javi challenging on one of his failed swings?
It's like I read that Chris Sale was told he cannot because even Sale admits, I believe every pitch I throw is a strike. So, and there are players like that they think I know better. I know. So I'm sure there are going to be some tough conversations out there. I'm waiting for the first. There's going to be a walk-off. Sooner or later it's going to happen, where there's going to be a walk-off win or loss due to one of these challenge ball strike calls, and that's where it's going to be interesting just to see the reaction. When a a walk-off is overturned. And they have to send the guy back to third because no, the ABS says that was a strike. It wasn't a ball. There's no walk there.
Right.
So it's going to be an entertaining can of worms. I think I'll put it that way.
Yep.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
How long before somebody takes a baseball bat to the? Well, the equipment wouldn't be accessible though. I doubt it. Yeah. So.
It's probably way.
I don't know. It's I really don't know exactly how it's all being done. So but all I know for sure is if you tap I believe you have to tap your cap like this, and that's the signal for the kick-in review. So it's going to be fascinating. It could be a train wreck. It could end up being a positive thing, and maybe it'll be expanded.
Well, because unlike other replay calls, though, in all sports, in baseball included. They can take such a long time.
That's the issue. Yeah,
you got to look at them 5 or 6. But I think in this case, the thing I like about this system is that it's a yes or no. Is it a ball or a strike? I mean, I don't think.
It'd be like you see in tennis when they do the virtual view of if it's a ball in or out. Yes or no?
You're not going to need 5 or 6 angles. Like some of these challenges can go on for 4 or 5 minutes, which is just drags. And that's. In all sports are like that. But in this case, I think this is the one challenge I think could go swiftly. Yeah. If first of all, it's a 50-50 thing. So you say it's a ball. Okay, well, I'm challenging it. I think it's a strike. Well, it should take 30 seconds for this technology to kick in and determine whether it was a ball or a strike. There's not going to be 4 or 5 angles of this pitch. There's going to be one definitive angle of this pitch. I think that's the way it's going to work. So I think the challenge itself should go fairly smoothly from a time standpoint. I can't imagine them spending 4 or 5 minutes on a single pitch.
I don't know. I'm kind of waiting for the first umpire to get into an argument with it. But yeah, you're right. It should be, that's the one issue. As much as replay, for the most part, works, if it takes more than 30 seconds to a minute to make the call, then don't overturn it. Right. That's pretty. Like you said, it's legit, especially some of these college football games. I swear, you're right. It seems like they're looking at the damn video from like 10 different angles for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they don't overturn it, or it's like it's ridiculous when it gets to that point. I'm with you.
How many times have we heard announcers say, because this is supposed to be the?
Oh,
I think we lost Greg. I was just waiting to see what he had to say.
Me too. I was curious too.
Yeah, he was on to something there.
I mean, I see the replays like in basketball a lot. Sometimes they're quick, but other times they're
yes.
They take time. They actually take a lot of time, and then they overturn fouls or something like that, and or instead of the offensive player getting the foul, the defensive player gets the foul.
Right.
But all that takes time to sort out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Then they have to look at the clock and do we have to reset the clock? And exactly. Mm-hmm. That stuff adds up, especially when you're talking like baseball, who have been gung ho at trying to cut. To increase the pace of play and cut the time of game. So this needs to move fast. I think we're all in agreement there. But it's going to be fascinating just to see how it works out, because there's going to be some screw ups, or there's going to be some controversial appeals from players that like, what in the hell were you thinking about? Hell, I do that with JB Bickerstaff with some of his challenges on fouls with NBA games at the Pistons. Like, GB, what were you looking at there? What, But sometimes it really is like, we got nothing to lose. We're running out of time anyway, so let's burn our challenge. So
that's the one thing I think with JB Bickerstaff. Like, I think he just throws in like a challenge, like in the first quarter. I'm like, no, don't challenge it now. You made
that's the other one. Yeah, don't. Right? Yes, exactly. He'll do one like the first 5 minutes of the game. Exactly. Greg, you were in the middle of something and we lost you there. You were ranting.
Yeah, I got kicked out. I was just, all I was going to say was, how many times have we heard announcers, the unwritten rule is, if it's not definitive, then you can't overturn it. And how many times have we heard that, but then the overturn thing.
And then it gets overturned.
Supposedly
yes.
Should be overturned. Yeah.
Well, that's because it's the guys in the booth, and they don't know shit to begin with. So.
Right.
Yep. Don't know their shit from Shinola, as they say. So.
Basically.
Yep. Well, speaking, I can't make a segue out of that. So let's move on to the Pistons. They own the NBA's best record right now, guys. They have met Phil Jackson's 40-20 rule, where to be considered a title contender, an NBA team must win 40 games before losing 20 to have a chance at winning the championship. And since the 79-80 season, all but 4 champions have won 40 games before losing 20. One of those 4 outliers, of course, was the 2004 Detroit Pistons. But, of course, that was the team that also picked up Rasheed Wallace, and then they went on a monster run once they picked up Sheed. But they're playing tonight. I guess they're going neck and neck with San Antonio, another title contender at the half. And so far, so good. They haven't really missed Isaiah Stewart yet. I mean, they curb stomped the Knicks again a few days ago. I mean, what was the? I think the Pistons won the 3-game series they were plus 89 or something like that in the 3 games.
Like 86 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they're up 5.5 games in the East right now. There's like 20, 25 games left in the season. So things are looking good for the Pistons, guys. And this is going to be, I believe, one of their toughest stretches of the season. They're playing numerous contenders over the next couple weeks. So, if anything, this might, give them a test they need more than anything else. But it's been a very entertaining season. The Pistons are playing great. Cade Cunningham is getting MVP consideration, and it could even become louder when guys continue. There's a lot of so-called MVP candidates aren't going to hit the 65 game threshold, which I don't know how you guys feel about that either. But this is the Pistons are in many ways become the what's the word? They're contenders, but there are also a lot of pundits that like, oh, let's wait till the playoffs. We're hearing that from Knicks fans. Like that's what we saw on social media the other night. Well, we were getting the Pistons treat play the Knicks like they're a Super Bowl, or we beat them in the playoffs. We'll see what happens in the playoffs this year. Blah blah blah. So there's still a lot of people that need convincing, but this is a team that should at the very least make it to the conference finals.
You know, I've been watching like about almost every game of the Pistons.
Yeah,
they've played fabulously. It's been a joy to watch them play all season long, and they're in pretty much every game. They may have only had like one or two bad nights, but they turn around those bad nights. They don't have a second bad night in a row.
I think they've only lost back-to-back games twice this year, I believe. They've only lost two in a row twice. So, exactly. Yeah.
So they've been a blast to watch. They are having a tough stretch, so they're like exchanging punches with the Spurs right now.
Yeah.
As we speak. And, you know, they with these like 4 or 5 tough games, they could be like, they could split those, you know, 2-3, 3-2, whatever. That would still be progress because now you're going against the best teams in the league. You're not going against Charlotte, who went balls to the wall and still lost. You want
they treated that like their Super Bowl. The Charlotte was playing that good,
and they fucking lost. So so you know, and the playoffs will be a different animal for sure. The fact is, the Pistons had a good had a playoff experience.
Yeah,
and they had a bad taste in their mouths. And this is a team that comes back after after adversity. They're tough this year. Will they get to the finals? I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope they win the finals. But you know, my guess is probably the toughest team they're going to face in the playoffs would be Boston.
That's
my guess.
Yeah.
I don't think the Knicks are as good as they think they are, as their fans think they are.
Right. Or the media thinks they are.
Exactly. Well, the media's kind of just fucking obsessed with them for some reason, and So, and probably just because it's New York, and so, but who knows? Let's wait and see with the playoffs. Like I said, it's a different animal, but this is a good young team. They're hungry. They're playing scrappy, and that's the mentality you need.
Yeah.
It's not just, oh, we're lucky to be in the playoffs, you know, look at us. No, they're playing angry. They're playing like with determination, and that's why it's fun to watch them.
Yeah.
One of the narratives I'm seeing develop by the national media and also other NBA people, excuse me, such as the Spurs coach said it also, and a lot of this in the wake of this last bludgeoning that the Pistons gave the Knicks, you know, everybody from Stephen A. to Rich Eisen to a bunch of other New York people were, you know, up in arms about red lights were flashing about the Knicks. Yeah. But one of the things that I'm seeing that other teams are saying about the Pistons and the media is saying about the Pistons is that they come at you for 48 minutes. There's no let up with these guys. They're physical to the point that they're starting to get a little bit of a reputation. I've noticed on other teams' subreddits, guys. I'm starting to notice a little bit of a resentment of how physical they are to the point of they think being dirty. Now, I don't particularly think that myself, but the bottom line is that the narrative that is running, that's the common thread with the Pistons, is they come at you for 48 minutes. They don't let up. To Nick's point, they're a very fun team to watch because of that. Because they do that, they're a very fun team to watch. They do not let up. They do not let up on anyone, and they'll put their foot on the throat of the weaker teams early and get them out of the way early. They have to turn up. The game against the Bulls is a good example. They were right around like 2 or 3 point differential at halftime, I think, in that game, and they scored 46 points or something in the third quarter. Blew the Bulls out of the gym. basically saying we're the better team. You know, we can kick it up a notch when we have to. Again, not having Stewart, of course, Duran back, but didn't have Stewart. Didn't have Stewart or Duran against the Knicks, and still handled the Knicks pretty easily. And that game was another one where they kind of pulled away. They fooled around the Knicks for about a half, and then they kind of slammed the door shut in the second half. Brunson got his points, but they didn't really do much beyond Brunson. The New York fans are, by the way, very upset at how they're using Cat. They don't think the Cat's being used the same way under Mike Brown as he was being used under Thib, and so there's that going on. I think one of you guys said it. I don't think the Knicks are as good as people make them out to be. I'm surprised the Celtics are as good as they are, quite frankly.
Yep.
I thought that the Tatum thing was going to really set them for a loop, but they're right in it. I mean, they're playing 6-6. Everybody's hot right now. The Celtics have won 8 out of 10. The Cavaliers won 8 out of 10. The Pistons won 8 out of 10. The Knicks are 7 out of 10. Everybody's in that top tier in the East is playing really well right now. It's hard to shake these guys. I know it's like a 5.5 game lead over the Cavs. That's not a lot.
Yeah.
For as well as the Pistons have played, you'd think they'd be up 8-9 games, but the Cavs are not the Cavs, the Celtics. The Celtics are more than holding their own right now.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people talking up the Cavs because they traded for James Harden. And my first thought was, what in the hell has James Harden ever won?
Yeah.
You know, he's one of those guys where, one, I hate watching his game. His game is absolutely brutal to watch. And, you know, and the teams he's been on have always, for the most part, been underachievers, and he's never shown he's been able to put a team on his own shoulders in the playoffs and take them to that next level. Yet people are talking about, Cleveland. They're now the. If you look at, I believe at the odds makers, those 4 teams are pretty much a coin flip between the 4 when it comes to Vegas odds, thinking of who's going to win the East. And I know Vegas does this because they want to even out the betting and all that, but the eye test shows that the Pistons are head and shoulders above those other 3 teams. At least 2 of them, and as you said, Greg, I think the Celtics are massively surprising. And I'm actually shocked they played as well as they have. I'm with you there, but I do believe the Pistons are head and shoulders above the Knicks and the Cavs and probably the Celtics.
Yeah, I think they'll be the closest games with the Celtics, at least the way these guys are playing. Cavs, I don't know, because Cavs have had the Pistons number enough where I wonder, at least in a regular season. Yeah. The James Harden thing is real. He lasts he's got a shelf life with the team of like 2 to 3 years at most.
Yep, you're right about that.
Mm-hmm. And then he's been to all the strip clubs more than once and wants a new city to go to, right?
Yeah.
And I haven't paid attention to him in the playoffs, but from what I hear, he just kind of like disappears in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because it's a different type of grind. It's like every single play means something, and it has to be coordinated with the rest of your team. It's not just, let's give it to the ball hog and let him shoot like 50 times. So
he plays just an ugly game of basketball. Personally, I just do not enjoy watching him play. You know, especially seeing there's so many other players out there that are playing a more aesthetically pleasing game, I guess is the best way to put it, or ethical hoops, as some people like to call it. And Harden's game is neither one of those. It really isn't.
Yeah, so it should be fun. I'm looking forward to the playoffs.
And well, speaking of ethics, Isaiah Stewart, do you think he deserved the 7 games? There were people out there going nuts saying, he'd get 25, he should be suspended for the rest of the season and all. I mean, he really didn't do that much. You know, obviously he was going to get suspended because he did leave the bench during that fight with Charlotte. But he was not the instigator. Honestly, neither was Doran. It was the 2 Hornets, Diabate and Bridges, who were the shit stirrers in the whole damn thing. So I think his reputation got him an extra 3 or 4 games. But he deserved a suspension, yes. Did he deserve 7? I don't think so. But that's the NBA. You know, they're going with his reputation. I mean, if they're going by reputation, Draymond Green should be suspended for an entire season at this point. So
that's very true.
Reputation had a lot to do with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the
Looking
same
forward
time,
to him
when
coming
I
back,
saw
though.
that it was 7 games, I wasn't that
Yeah.
upset by it. I was like, well, that's because I thought it was going to be worse. I thought it might have been 10 because of his reputation. But that's 7's okay. But it's unfortunate that's happening in a stretch of games that is that schedule.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
they could really
It's the
use them in
Spurs
this
twice.
upcoming stretch. Yeah,
I think it's the Spurs twice, the Thunder once or twice, the Cavs are in there, the Magic.
yeah, they
are in-
play
God,
San
it's a
Antonio
lot.
twice, the Cavs.
Yeah.
I got it. I got it up right here, actually. I believe.
Is it the
Yeah,
Thunder twice?
it's San Antonio tonight, then OKC, Cleveland, Orlando, Cleveland, San Antonio, and that takes you through the first week of March. Then things ease off when they play Brooklyn 2 out of 3 games. But yeah, it's the next 6 or so games are it's a juggernaut. It really is
Yeah. Yeah.
a gauntlet. I think would be a better way to put it. I should say it's a gauntlet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he'd play 500. I think that'd be great. And like I said, right now they're going.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Yeah, it's San Antonio's pulled away a little bit. It's 71-64 in the third right now. But Cade Cunningham's having an off shooting night. And speaking of Cade, what's your guys' take on the MVP talk? There's right now it seems like it's Wembanyama gets thrown out there, Luka Doncic, the Joker. Cade's, throughout in the middle of it for the most part, and with him, it's always like he does everything, but he's inefficient. Like we're seeing one of those games tonight for an example. But actually, even if he doesn't win it, and he probably won't. But he's one of the things in his favor. He's going to play more than 65 games, which is now the threshold you have to play to be eligible for any NBA award or an NBA All NBA team. So he's going to make that with no problem. So that's all big in his favor because some of these guys we're talking about aren't going to do it. Probably like the Joker. I doubt he's going to hit 65 games this year. So, but if anything, how long? Yeah.
Is he trouble?
What's that?
Is SGA in trouble? Not hitting SGA.
I think he is actually in the same boat. Yeah, he might be in trouble with making it as well. Yeah, that's the other one I keep forgetting about. Yeah, OKC. But it's refreshing. When was the last time we even heard a Piston being talked about in MVP consideration? It's been maybe Chauncey Billups. Even then I think his best was like top 5. I think it was like 5th or something like that.
So I heard a stat about this.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah.
It was the highest a Piston has ever finished for MVP. It was Grant Hill in 1997, finished 3rd behind Michael Jordan and Karl Malone, I think.
Okay.
The highest Isaiah ever finished was 1984. He finished 5th.
That's criminal. It really is.
Think about who was in the league at that time.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
That was a hard lineup to crack.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
I was surprised to hear that Grant was 3rd in 97. Now, Pistons had a good year. I think they won like 53, 54 games that year. But still, to finish 3rd, I didn't know at the time I didn't know he finished that high. I'm surprised.
No, I didn't realize it either. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
same.
Yeah.
So now the Detroit Pistons, if they ever win any award, is
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that if a Piston won any award, it's Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
That's always been the case. Whether usually it's been Wallace or Rodman, but
right.
But not just once, several times. So those are no joke, and that's what the Pistons teams have won on.
Man of the Year award?
I'm sorry. What was that?
Did Vinny ever win? VJ ever win 6 Man of the Year?
Actually, funny. I looked it up. He finished 2nd one year. That was as close as he ever came.
Are you serious?
He finished 2nd. Only once. Yeah, it's the only time I actually was looking up his numbers on Basketball Reference the other day for whatever I forgot why. And then you always scroll to the right and you look for the awards, and that sort of thing. And and he never won 6 Man of the Year, and the highest he ever was 2nd. I believe the last Piston to get, wasn't it Corliss Williamson? It was
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, I believe it was Corliss Williamson.
He won it?
I believe he did.
Really? Interesting.
Yes.
Now you're going to have me looking it up.
Yep. But yeah, it's always been the Pistons have never been really in contention for MVPs ever for the most part. They're always it's an outlier when a Piston is a top 5 ends in the top 5. It really is.
That's good. The league is always reluctant to give it anything to a Piston.
Yeah.
Whether it's first round pick or it's anything. And, Detroit
Yeah,
versus everybody isn't from nowhere.
Right. Yeah. So let's give them the Defensive Player of the Year, throw them a bone. Which, and honestly, you could argue that the Pistons have 2 players who at least are talented enough to get that award. Maybe not this year, but Beef Stew and obviously Thompson are both definitely the types who will get votes in the future, if not this year. Because that's the thing with Beef Stew, he just doesn't play enough minutes, even though he has elite defensive numbers. So, and that's another guy who should get 6 Man of the Year consideration is Beef Stew.
The whole bias toward the New York teams. I remember when Ewing, who that whole legend, whether it's a urban legend or not, about how that 84 draft was, or 84, 85, whatever draft it was, Ewing came up, was fixed for the Knicks, regardless of that. He won Rookie of the Year, and he only played 50 games. 50 out of 82, because he got hurt.
Oh, really?
And because that was, he played 50 games. He still won Rookie of the Year. Why? Because he's Patrick Ewing playing for the Knicks. Now, I don't know who finished. I don't know who else was in contention that year. I know 50 is still more than half, but it's barely more than half the season. You only play 50 out of 82 games. But again, it's Patrick Ewing, it's the Knicks, so there you go.
Yeah. And by the way, I did look it up.
So.
Yeah, I did look it up, and it was Corliss Williamson was 6 Man of the Year in 2001-2002 season.
Wow. Okay.
For the Pistons.
Yeah. Okay.
For the Pistons.
Wow.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yes.
All right.
But they've never had an MVP, so hope now. I have a feeling that's likely going to change under Cade Cunningham. Maybe not this year, but the sky's the limit for that kid. And if his 3-point shot starts to fall like it has been over the past few games, he's going to be unstoppable because that makes him a 3-level scorer. So, and he actually plays defense, unlike a lot of these guys we're talking about. Yeah, which Luka Doncic in defense, he's allergic to that, for Christ's sake. So, but yeah, it's going to be a fascinating end of the season. We'll have lots to talk about. But I think with that, it's probably about time to wrap things up. Because, to be honest, I put Rod Wood retiring of the Lions in the show notes. But okay, we'll see you later. All I can say to him was, once he realized he needed to stay out of football operations, he did his job with the Lions, and that was that. But he did he did stir the shit a little bit early on, like with the Calvin Johnson stuff and things like that. But for the most part, once they hired the right people, he stayed out of the way, and that's exactly what a business guy should do. So,
right.
I think with that, I think it's time to get the hell out of here. So I guess jerk of the week time. So Nick, who is your jerk of the week?
Well, I guess we alluded to it just recently in this last bit, but I'm going to go with New York's Knicks fans. Jesus Christ. I've never seen, are they stoned or something? Oh, we're 11-14, and we're on our way. It's 2 of those 3 losses were to the Detroit Pistons. And or after every thumping that the Pistons gave them, and it's not a small margin of victory. 2 of them were over 30 points. That was an insane. And Cat wasn't healthy. Well, this last time, Detroit played with their 3rd string center, who scored 18 points on these idiots. And and then let's wait for. There's okay, let's wait for the playoffs and see what happens there. Okay, fine. What about when we beat your ass in the playoffs? Then what are you gonna say? Then they make fun of Detroit fans well, you haven't won anything in 20 years. That's the last championship you had. And it's excuse me, are you that dumb of a team fan that you don't know when your team last won a championship? Yeah. When Nixon was fucking president? And So it's just kind of like, are you high? And the media does give that team a lot of attention, and it's like always conversations about like what can help the Knicks out. It's like we're concerned family members for some flunky in the family, and like
the NBA and the media want the Knicks to win so bad, just like the NFL and the media wants the Cowboys to be relevant again. They want that. Oh God, do they want the Cowboys to win? And the same thing with the Knicks. They just I really enjoyed watching a lot of these New York people melt down the day after that game. Shameless Knicks fans like Stephen A. and other people throughout that was the talk of the town. The next day was how the Pistons destroyed them.
Yeah. Well, I've seen clips of Stephen A. after the Pistons beat the Knicks, and he actually owned up. It's like these guys are good.
Yeah.
They beat.
Right. No, they're here. Yeah.
As much as he kind of like is a little bit of a loudmouth, he was like, okay, they won.
Oh yeah.
Like
he gave them props for sure. Yeah. It wasn't about. You're right. It wasn't about what the Knicks didn't do. It was about what the Pistons did do, and I was glad to see that. My jerk of the week is two people. Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, God.
On September 19th. Pacquiao's 47. Mayweather's 49. So they're combined 96 years old. They're going to do this thing in Las Vegas on September 19th. It's going to be streamed globally on Netflix. I know boxing has long been the bastion of guys coming out of retirement. We've seen it countless times. But this. I mean, because when I first read this, I was like, am I in a time capsule? I remember them when they hooked up in 2015. How big of a deal that was, and they were old back then. And now you're doing it again. I don't see the appeal. Obviously, I don't know how much money they're going to make off this thing. I don't know who to blame. I'm making them both jerks because they're the ones in the fight, but I don't know. Maybe it's outside forces that are putting these guys together. I don't know about you guys. I don't want to see a 47-year-old guy fight a 49-year-old guy. I just don't. I have zero appetite. I barely wanted to see him fight in 2015 when they were 12 years younger. I don't know. It's unbelievable. I can't believe we're doing this.
I picture each of them in their separate quarters, each in wheelchairs, with their canes pointed outwards in a boxing glove, and they just wheel themselves into one another.
What is it? Boxers
play Jake Paul.
Yeah, okay. They can break his jaw again. Yes, I think it's just they'll take that clown. But what is it with boxers refusing to retire? How many well-known fighters have fought such ill-advised? Ali did it.
Yes.
Mike Tyson did it. Yes. Larry Holmes did it. So many of these guys came back and embarrassed themselves, to be honest.
Joe Louis, the great Joe Louis.
Yes,
Joe Louis did it.
At least Joe Louis had reasons. He was broke, apparently. But, it was a bit different back then. But even still, he shouldn't have been fighting either. You're right.
No. And I think it was when Holmes fought Ali, I think it was in 80 or 81. Now, that wasn't Ali's last fight, believe it or not. He had another one after that. I can't remember who he fought after that. But when he fought Holmes said, I did not. First of all, I didn't want to fight him, number one.
Yep.
Number two, after about the first round, I definitely didn't want to fight him. And he was afraid he was going to really, really hurt Ali. I mean, physically, really, really hurt. And Ali still, I think he may have come back. He may have fought Burbick after that. Trevor Burbick. I might be getting my facts mixed up. But I know the Holmes fight was not his last. It should have been, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
He fought at least one more. I want to say it was Burbick. Well, I think it was from Canada. And Burbick destroyed him. And finally Ali said, that's enough. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
But guys, enough.
Yeah, yeah, and just to pile on to that, you heard about the washed-up UFC fighters who want to fight on Netflix, Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano.
Yep.
Who neither one of them have fought. Rousey hasn't fought in over 10 years. Carano, it's been like 15 or probably like over 15, and they're going to have a fight on Netflix. and they were both overrated to begin with. Ronda Rousey had one move, that armbar. That was when she got solved, she got her ass kicked. But yet, here we are. AD mid-40s women now going to do it as well. So I guess we can be equal opportunity haters when it comes to that.
Well,
But yeah, none of these people should be fighting. None of them. So, but that's a good one, Greg. I did because I saw the headline about that today about that fight. They're going to bring that fight back. It would have been great 10 years ago when it should have happened the second time. But all right, my jerk of the week. I don't know where I was going to go. There was more than a few options out there. Between Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, partying with the American hockey team in the locker room, for fuck's sake. That was such a bad look on everybody involved.
Yep.
But I'm gonna stick. Yeah, exactly. That's about all you can say about it. Because I was watching the video. I think Larkin posted. And go, oh, that's cool. Did the camera? Oh, they're like, oh fuck, that little twit is in there. Anyway, I'm gonna go with. I'll go with the topic we really didn't have time to get into, and that is the MLBPA. My jerk of the week is Tony Clark, the ex-Tigers first baseman, who abruptly resigned after an internal inquiry revealed an inappropriate relationship with an employee. That employee was his sister-in-law. Well, that's you lose your job and break up your family all in one swipe. That's impressive. The departure obviously comes as the MLBPA and Clark are facing a federal investigation over mishandling of union finances. So he's leaving an absolute mess, Tony Clark of the MLBPA, which was arguably one of the most powerful unions in the world. So longtime lead negotiator Bruce Meyer is going to be the new executive director. But you got to remember, this all is going on when they're going to have the CBA negotiations coming up, which could lead to a lockout and a strike and who knows what else. I mean, you could argue baseball's future might be hanging on what happens with this upcoming negotiation, and the man who was supposed to be in charge of it was busy fucking his brother's wife. So my jerk of the week is Tony Clark for absolutely leading with the wrong head. I'll just put it that way, apparently. So suddenly there's major issues in the MLBPA, guys. And a lot of it has to do with Tony Clark. That's my jerk of the week.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I think with that, it's time to get out of here. So, as always, Greg, I will lead off with you. We get out the thank yous and the social media and anything else you'd like to add.
Sure. Thanks to Keith Gave for a wonderful time on the program as usual. We had a lot of fun with him. He's already reposted my Twitter post and said it was had a great time, guys. Thanks so much. So thanks to Keith for doing that. We'll bring it back on as we get toward the playoffs. Talk about the Red Wings at that point. Follow me on X at Greg Eno. My Substack is gregeno.substack.com. Please subscribe. I'll be in your inbox every Monday. Would appreciate that. I want to thank my lovely wife Sharon for putting up with this nonsense every 2 weeks, and thank you, gentlemen, for making Monday night so gosh darn fun.
And of course, Nick, let everybody know where they can find your activities online.
Yes, it's very simple. In my case, I'm on Twitter, and my handle is at Nick Milanovich. So if you guys want to jump into a sports conversation, that's where you can find me.
Yes. And of course, thank you to you guys for putting up with with actually fighting your way through some technical issues. I know Greg had one today. I've had more than my share, and so has Nick. At least when Nick remembers to take the cover off his webcam. So. But regardless, seriously, we would appreciate it if you like, shared, and subscribed to the Knee Jerks podcast. We are available anywhere podcasts are found. Just look up the Knee Jerks, Eno, Nick, and Big Al, something to that effect. You will find us on places like Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer, Radio Public. The homepage for our show is thekneejerks.net. You can also get the show from right there. You can stream it or download the MP3. And for that matter, all the links we have talked about, especially when it comes to social media, where to find the guys on Twitter, that's all right there at thekneejerks.net. And of course, we live stream every show to YouTube and Twitch. Again, just search for the Knee Jerks. And please subscribe at the app or aggregator or website of your choice. We would much appreciate it. All right, with that, I think it's time to get out of here. So we're staying on schedule. I'm still in town. No one's traveling anywhere. Looks like I'll be around for at least another month before I'm headed back up to the wilds of Michigan. So no changes in our schedule. So until then, we'll see you in 2 weeks. So until 2 weeks from now, this is Al Beaton saying good evening, good luck, and aloha, along with Nick Milanovich.
Good night, guys.
And, of course, Mr. Substack, Greg Eno.
Ciao, Italy. We'll see you in 2 weeks.